Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to be looking at just 10, I actually managed to get it to a round number this time, or unanswered questions and things that we just flat out don't know about Super Mario Maker 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Now, some of these do have sort of semi-answers, and we will be looking at those semi-answers and sort of discussing what possibilities there may be for the ones that don't have semi-answers, and other things as well. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. First of all, it's a biggie, local multiplayer. Yes, we know that you can create with two people and make a level between two people using the sideways Joy-Con. In fact, I've got them again. And we know that you can play 4-player online multiplayer as well, but what about just playing 4-player locally? You know, just like all the other Mario games that have had 4-player multiplayer, mainly the new games. The new games. Well, there is a partial answer to this one, which makes it a good one to start with. Maybe. The official game listing on the eShop does list the number of players that can play the game, and they have separated it into local wireless, online, and just players, so presumably that's its own category and it means local. Now, naturally, if this was just the building, the maker part of the section where you can do it co-op, then it would just say 1 to 2, but it doesn't. It says 1 to bloomin' 4. And that's a higher number than 2. There's another interesting little thing as well, and it's no guarantee, but it's just another point on the graph, is the fact that when you're looking at a course in My Courses, so CourseBot presumably, there's a little icon on the right that you can see if you look with your eyeballs on the screen right now. This is a 4-player button, presumably, or at least a multiplayer button. Maybe not 4 players, but you can have up to 4 people in multiplayer, and so it just sort of, I don't know, it just seems very, very likely that that's what that button is. Yes, but no official confirmation from Nintendo means at the moment it's still kind of a question mark. It's not a big question mark, it's quite small, and it's semi-transparent, but it's a question mark nonetheless. The next thing we don't have an answer to comes courtesy of the wonderful and often referenced on this often referenced on this channel when it comes to Mario and stuff. Yes, Steve Gaming. Steve noticed that the boo rings that before in Mario Maker 1 never moved, and they only, I think the winged ones moved outwards like that, very sporadically, but they actually started following Mario in this clip here, which I have shamelessly taken from his channel. Go and check it out. Now, it's entirely possible that Nintendo have changed how they function and that maybe they don't have to be tied to a single square. It could be a variant on it, or it could just be something that maybe only happens in a nighttime theme. We don't know. I personally, they may well have disproved this with another clip somewhere, but I think that now maybe the wings that you put onto boos, if you put it onto a boo ring, that means that now they will follow you rather than just going out and then in, and then out, and then in. If only for the fact that it makes it for a more interesting thing. I don't know, it could be anything. This is why it's in this video. The next little thing, number 3 if you like, is the lack of Amiibo costumes. Yes, we saw no Mystery Mushroom, no Amiibo costumes at all in any of the videos that we have seen. And a lot of people really like that part of the original Super Mario Maker, and the fact that we haven't seen any means, are they even in it? As much as I hate to say it, my gut instinct says that they bloomin' aren't. The fact of the matter is that it's an enormous undertaking, and the number of different sprites, you've got to add different animations, different sound clips and things like that. It's a huge amount of work, especially considering we now have even more Amiibo than we did with Super Mario Maker 1. There were, of course, certain special costumes that were revealed later on, so it is entirely possible that they're still in there, but I'm not convinced. Another factor that I've seen plenty of people point out over the internet is the fact that when you grab a Mystery Mushroom, you obviously change into a different character. Yeah, that's fine in single player, but what about multiplayer? If you got 4 people running around as the same Amiibo costume, or maybe it's random, but then it's sort of, I don't know, it just feels like it feels loose. Yes, you have the arrow above the character, but that doesn't feel like enough to me. I just think maybe it's another complication, and, realistically doesn't change the gameplay at all, with the exception of you can take a hit whilst being a small character, but that's it. So I think they're just like, now, you know what? No. Moving on, we have got the hammer power-up, which if you haven't seen, looks a bit like this. In fact, it looks exactly like that. This is clearly an additional power-up. obviously. Incidentally, a lot of people have been saying that this is the Hammer Bros suit, and to be fair, I can definitely see why you'd think that and go to that conclusion. However, we haven't actually seen this specific power-up before. You know, we've never seen... The Hammer Bros suit didn't look like this, even the icon, it was just a hammer, I think, or was that the hammer that... It looked like this. So it's entirely possible that it's going to be something brand new, and I don't think it's going to be restricted to the 3D World style. I doubt that they would have a brand new power-up in just one game style, so I think it's going to be spread across. The next thing I want to look at is this little screenshot right here. Now, obviously, this is looking at sound effects, and this is taken from the Nintendo, the NCL, Nintendo company, Japanese. It was a Japanese video at the timestamp of 2005, and it's only there for a few frames. However, it is clearly looking at sound effects, but what we want to look at is this thing in the top right-hand corner that looks like a record. Records are nearly always representative of music. I don't think that there would necessarily be an entire section of sound effects that are related to records, like record scratches and stuff like that. I don't think that's the case. What I think this is I think this is music. Maybe some custom music that you can put into a level, or, you know, just sort of maybe, you know, sort of like a trigger, like a boss battle, you know, you can assign like a sound effect to a boss, and it appears and it goes do 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 do. I think that would be really cool. We did have that sort of thing before, but it was triggered by Mario walking through it, and so it would be really cool if we could actually assign it to a boss. Could we do that? I don't think we could, but maybe there's more music is the point I'm making. Maybe you can mix and match different styles, so you can have the desert theme in the not desert theme. Yeah. Crazy. Oh, this is a biggie. You know that bit that says extra game styles? Well, at the moment, we've only got one extra game style. FNA. In case you don't know, the reason Super Mario 3D World style is in here is because it's not compatible with the other styles. It's got too much unique stuff, which means there could be pretty much bloomin' anything in there. In my notes, I've just jotted down a few ideas, you know, Super Mario Bros. 2 style, which everyone is harping on about. That would be really cool, and the whole sort of vegetable pulling mechanic and throwing would make sense, you know, not compatible with the other styles. Groovy! Super Mario Land 1 and 2, potentially, either or, you know. Again, less likely, because there's just less you can do with those, and they're so simple, I imagine you could make them work with the other styles as well, but it's all possible. Playing as other characters in single player. Can it do? We don't know. Again, that's why it's on this list. This is probably something I wouldn't even be considering if it weren't for a Nintendo podcast. I think it was the Power podcast, the official one. I don't listen to it. At around the 15-minute mark, they say this.
And speaking of haunted house, you can go into the ghost house theme now.
And play in the dark.
Play in the dark with the night theme. Even pop some ghosts in. You can play as Luigi, and suddenly you've got your own little...
I was totally thinking about that earlier.
Luigi's Mansion.
Now, this could well just be, you know, sort of, oh, if you're in multiplayer, you can be playing as Luigi, and, you know, sort of, But the way that they word it makes it sound like you've chosen, you know, and which you can't do in multiplayer as far as I know, or at least as far as it seems so far. Player 1 is Mario, Player 2 is Luigi, Player 3 is Toad, and Player 4 is Toadette. That seems to be how it is. However, if we could select our character, why wouldn't we be able to do it in single player as well? I think that would be a really, really nice touch, because who wouldn't want to, you know, change things up and, oh, Luigi, as they say, in Luigi's Mansion, booze around. That would be really cool thematically, or maybe Toad has to rescue Mario or something. You know, you could play off that sort of thing, and it's just more flexibility. Why wouldn't they do it? That seems like a good... Now, this next one is especially exciting. Swapping the order of items on the item wheels. Woo! Basically, in certain scenes of the Japanese Direct and the Western Directs don't match up. They've got the same items on them, as you can hopefully see now if I'm putting the footage in. But even though it's the same items, they are not in the same order. And there doesn't seem to be any advantage to this per se. I mean, you know, it would be cool if you could change them out, but I don't see why it would be a big deal per se. Nice option, but why don't they match? You know, it's why don't they match? There is a possibility. It is possible that they're running on two different builds of the game, you know, the Japanese one and the Western one. One might be, you know, like 0.58 and the other one might be 0.59 or something like that, you know, really subtle changes here and there, and in the final product, we can't do it. but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Here's a genuinely big one. How are boos going to work? And I don't mean these guys, I mean the boos, the downvotes, the I don't like this level voting system. I actually really like the boo system overall. At least I like the idea of it. I like the idea of self sort of regulation when it comes to curation and things like that. However, I can totally understand why some people are going, whoa, what about all the kids that just want to upload a cool Mario level that they think is really fun, but it is objectively a bit pants and they get downvoted to hell and back? That is a genuine concern. I think it would be really disheartening to upload a level and then all of a sudden, you know, it starts going into the negative numbers, which is why I think that we are not going to see any negative numbers at all when it comes to the number of I like it. Really catchy name there, Nintendo. So for example, say something gets 5 I like it and then 1 boo, it just goes down to 4, but then if it maybe, you know, it's upvoted to 5 and it gets 6 boos, it instead just goes down to 0. It doesn't go down to -1, it just stays at 0. However, I can still see that being a bit disheartening, and I've got a better idea, which has come from all places: the YouTube comment system. You can downvote on YouTube comments, but it doesn't actually reduce the number of likes. It just, as far as I know, just sort of adjusts the metric ever so slightly, adjusts the ranking of certain comments. If loads of people downvoted it, but it doesn't actually change the number of likes. And I think maybe that's how they're going to do it with this system. A boo doesn't change the number, but it does sort of have a sort of a hidden metric, a hidden number that means, you know, sort of maybe it gets taken down half a vote if per boo or something. I don't know, but on the on the creator and the player side of things, they never see it. And I think that would probably actually be quite a good way of doing, you know, best of both worlds. So you can downvote things that are a bit pants, but without hurting people's feelings. Nice. And lastly, this is one that's very close to my heart. Where the bloomin' chuffing Nora is the weird mushroom? We have not seen hide nor hair of this lovely little sausage, and I, for one, am absolutely furious. You can probably tell from my angered tone of voice. It is absolutely 100% possible that it just hasn't been revealed, and it's going to function in exactly the same way as it did before. It's just a random chance, 1 in 100 times, 99 times. You'll get the weird mushroom, and, you know, it changes up, and it's just fun. It's just a little sort of, whoa, I got the weird mushroom. What I would like, however, is the ability to do it manually. You know, to actually give someone a weird mushroom and to say, in this box, put a weird mushroom, baby, because it did change things up enormously, and I think that would be a really cool power-up to be able to play off. And yeah, so do that, Nintendo, or else. And there you have it. That is just 10 unanswered little thingamydoos that are related to Super Mario Maker 2. Have you got some unanswered questions of your own, or have you even answered, or, you know, at least officially answered some of the questions in this thing? Let us know down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you question whether that subscribe button is really there by clicking it? Unless you're already subscribed, because that would unsubscribe you. And be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.